Gather close, dear listeners, and let me take you far away, to a time when the world was woven with silk and secrets. Picture a city of turquoise domes and golden sands, where the stars themselves seemed to lean closer to listen to the tales of travelers. This is the story of the Star of Samarkand, a tale from the heart of the Silk Road, in the ancient city of Samarkand, in the year 1392. It's a story of courage, love, and a single moment that changed the course of one girl's destiny forever. In the bustling markets of Samarkand, where merchants shouted over the clamor of camel bells and the scent of saffron hung heavy in the air, lived a girl named Zara. She was no ordinary girl, oh no. Zara was 15, with eyes like polished amber and a heart that dreamed beyond the mud-brick walls of her father's spice stall. Her mother had passed when she was small, leaving her only a tiny silver pendant shaped like a star, which Zara wore always tucked beneath her shawl. "This star," her mother had whispered long ago, "will guide you when the world feels dark." Samarkand in those days was a jewel of the world, a crossroads where Chinese silks met Persian poetry, and traders from distant lands swapped stories as often as coins. But it was also a city of whispers, for the great conqueror Timur, known as Tamerlane, ruled with an iron hand. His armies swept across continents, and his palace, the Gur-e-Amir, glittered with treasures stolen from 100 kingdoms. Yet, in the shadow of his power, the people of Samarkand told tales of something extraordinary. A mysterious sapphire, called the Star of Samarkand, said to hold the light of the heavens themselves. Legend claimed it could grant one wish to whoever held it under a full moon, but only if their heart was pure. Zara loved this story. She'd heard it from old traders, their beards flecked with dust, as they sipped tea at her father's stall. "The sapphire's hidden in Timur's palace," they'd murmur, "guarded by traps and shadows." Zara would laugh, tossing her braid, and say, "I'd find it if I were brave enough." But her father would scold her, his voice sharp with fear. "Don't speak of such things, Zara. Timur's spies are everywhere. Dreams like that bring only trouble." Trouble, though, had a way of finding Zara. Her father fell ill one spring, his cough growing worse with each passing day. The healers demanded silver for medicine, more than their little stall could ever earn. Zara worked tirelessly, grinding saffron and bartering with traders, but the coins slipped through her fingers like sand. One night, as she sat by her father's bedside, his fevered hand clutching hers, she whispered, "I'll find a way, Baba. I promise." And in that moment, her fingers brushed the star pendant at her neck, and she remembered the legend. The next night, under a sky blazing with stars, Zara slipped out of her home, her heart pounding like a drum. She wore a dark cloak to blend with the shadows and carried only a small knife and her mother's pendant. The streets of Samarkand were quiet, save for the distant howl of a desert wind. The palace of Gur-e-Amir loomed ahead, its domes gleaming like giant sapphires under the moonlight. Zara's breath caught. Could she really do this? Steal into the lair of a conqueror? But the thought of her father's frail hand in hers pushed her forward. For him, she'd face anything. Slipping past the guards was no easy task. Zara moved like a shadow, darting between columns and hiding in the folds of silk banners. The palace was a maze of marble halls and flickering torches, each corner hiding a new danger. She overheard 2 guards muttering about the sapphire chamber, a room deep within the palace, locked behind a door carved with lions. Zara's heart leaped. Could it be real? She crept deeper, her bare feet silent on the cool stone, until she found it. A massive door, its lion carvings glaring down as if daring her to try. The lock was intricate, a puzzle of gears and stars. Zara's fingers trembled as she studied it, her mind racing. She wasn't a thief, but she was clever, taught by her mother to see patterns where others saw only chaos. She pressed the star pendant against the lock, and, click, it turned. The door creaked open, revealing a chamber bathed in blue light. There, on a pedestal of black stone, glowed the Star of Samarkand, a sapphire so deep it seemed to hold the night sky itself. Zara stepped forward, her breath shallow. The gem was more beautiful than she'd imagined, its facets catching the moonlight streaming through a high window. She reached out, then froze. The legend said only a pure heart could claim its wish. Was hers pure? All she wanted was to save her father. "Please," she whispered, "let him live." She lifted the sapphire, and the room seemed to hum, the air alive with a warmth that wrapped around her like her mother's embrace. Suddenly urgent, tense, but then footsteps. Heavy, armored footsteps. Zara spun around, clutching the sapphire, as a figure loomed in the doorway. It was Timur himself, his eyes sharp as a falcon's, his presence filling the room like a storm. "Thief!" he roared, his voice shaking the walls. Zara's knees buckled, but she stood tall, the sapphire pressed to her chest. "I'm no thief," she said, her voice steady despite her fear. "I came for my father. He's dying, and this is his only hope." Timur stared at her, his gaze piercing. The room was silent, save for the pounding of Zara's heart. Then, to her shock, the conqueror's face softened. "A girl who risks death for love," he said, almost to himself. "That is a rare thing." Pause, let the weight settle. He stepped closer, and Zara braced herself, expecting a blade. Instead, he said, "The sapphire is yours." Zara returned home that night, the sapphire hidden in her cloak. Under the full moon, she made her wish, tears streaming down her face. The next morning, her father's fever broke. He sat up, his eyes clear, and pulled her into his arms. "My star," he called her, not knowing the truth of her journey. But Zara felt the cost Timur had spoken of. The sapphire, once so radiant, now lay dull in her hand, its magic spent. And yet, she didn't care. Her father was alive. That was worth more than all the treasures of Samarkand. And so, dear listeners, the Star of Samarkand faded into legend once more. Its light dimmed, but its story brighter than ever. Zara grew up, her courage and love a quiet beacon in the city of silk and stars. And on clear nights, when the moon is full, some say you can still see a single star shining brighter over Samarkand, watching over those who dare to dream. Sleep well, my friends, and may your own stars guide you through the dark.